I'm Nnabiko, and I play Deo. He's the youngest brother.
My name is Lanre, writer, director, choreographer of Now I See.
Hi, I'm Oliver, and I play Kieran.
I am Tendai, and I play Adi.
Nice, thank you.
We're all speaking like this.
Yeah. Very seriously.
Hello. It ain't like that, people. Yeah, so the story of this piece, essentially, it's about two estranged brothers who are reconnecting after a very long time of seeing each other, and the circumstances that they're reconnecting in are around the passing of one of their brothers, and it explores what it is to reconnect as estranged family members and to reconnect with yourself. We look at it through the lens of grief, but this play and this piece isn't about grief. It's about, like I said, reconnection. It's about forgiveness, and it really dives into what does it really mean to forgive, and what does that look like in terms of what I like to call the messy business of self-forgiveness, because forgiveness outside of your body is you can see a change, right? You can see a shift with your relationship with the outside person. But when it comes to the kind of inside jobs like forgiveness, they're a lot more messier. Yeah. And I was just really interested in diving in that route from things in my own life and things that I've seen around my family, friends, and community. But yeah. Redemption. Redemption. I feel like it's like something about looking back onto yourself with new eyes and accepting what's happened in the past, stepping forwards in the future with a renewed sense of self and change, and something about acceptance really sinks in with me with this piece and with redemption. There is a part of redemption that as soon as you say that word, for me, it's about kind of like, there maybe that you've been in a hole for your life and you don't realize you're in that hole, and you're trying to, climb out of that hole to see a new world, if that makes sense. Okay. And I say all of that, not kind of like literally, but also emotionally. What does that feel like to kind of climb out of an emotional hole and see yourself and see the world through a new lens? What does everyone else think?
Yeah, I echo that. I think without giving too much away, obviously we all come into this play at different points, and they need to learn via yourself or from the experiences of the brothers and interactions and what that space and trust allows you to do. And I think space and trust came through today actually in rehearsals, and that's going to stick with me actually.
Wow. That was from my brother-in-law. Yes. We had this conversation together, and I was saying, he sent me a message this morning, had a conversation with him. And, this piece for me is interlinked with relationships with my brothers, with my half-brothers, with my brothers, right? And my now new brother-in-law. And we had this conversation. I was just talking about where I'm at as a creative, as a person, and just creating more space in my body, in my heart, and trusting that I might not always know, we might not always know. And it's something that did come up just for context. Yeah.
And what's beautiful about being a Black man in this production and an artist where I'm at and where I'm at in my own personal life is that all these things complement each other. The work, even though we need to look after ourselves and understand that there is a difference between me and the character, at the same time, there is a healing and an understanding and a learning. So I'm also, as an actor, via the work and being with my brothers, allowing myself to have more space and trust to delve into this work, to make sure that it's the best that it can be, not only for the characters and serving the play and what's written there, but for the audience and also for myself, as lessons for myself. I mean, often you make work like, why are we telling the stories? Who's it for? And I think with care and protecting yourself, I do believe certain plays, particularly when you can relate to it so specifically, I think in a safe space, it can be a healing. It has been healing. And so I think it's fantastic. And it's all about that, hopefully. And the characters need to trust themselves, allow themselves space to go wherever journey they want to be on. And hopefully with an audience, which I think this play hopefully will achieve, is that it's not just trying to like hit you in the chest with hard things and just leave you there. I think there is some form of asking the audience to trust us with something that could be touch a chord, and you never quite know how someone might react to it. But I think it's a safe environment to see, like, how are you going to deal with this? We are allowing this moment and the context and this scenario to give you space to marinate in it, and that might be tough. But hopefully it's done in an expressive way. Hopefully there's some messages out of it, or not as well. I don't think it's trying to preach or have the answers, but it's supposed to have the questions.
Yeah.
And allowing you space and to know that you have value, your emotions, your soul, and specifically Black lives have value, and Black men, wherever they're at, that there's value to that. And I find that constantly moving and powerful and rare.
I love that.
I think for me, something I find profound about this piece, I guess it's in the title and how it ties to redemption, is I think it speaks about redemption and self-forgiveness in a way being about one's ability to see oneself, and to see yourself as you are, and from doing that, only in doing that exercise of just like trying to actually see yourself, and things we do that stop us from being able to see ourselves because of what we think we are, what we think we can do, and what we think we can't do, and all those protections we put in place to stop ourselves seeing ourselves. And then the process of taking all that stuff off and stripping all those barriers and all the armor and past problems away to just actually be, this is who I am, and this is what I'm dealing with, and only then can you then come to the process of accepting yourself and healing. I think that's, for me, what I find really touching about this piece, is that's what it feels like is happening with the three brothers. They all feel like the problems they've had are about something else. They feel like it's a problem with him or him or him, and they all come to sort of are trying to realize that the problem they've got within the three of them and whatever is about themselves, and how that ties to that, and that for me has been like, I think the best art is art that's as much for an audience as for the artists. And then in this, like, this is something that I feel a great gift of that work, is like, I'm starting to go, oh wait, actually, yeah, how do I see myself, and how can I learn to forgive myself about things I hold on to, and that being the path to redemption, to recovery, to healing, is really profound and really moving, I think.
What I'm going to say about self-redemption, and this is something I learned from my character especially, is along with this acceptance and not neglecting yourself and who you are, but also knowing that self-care isn't selfish, and having the time for yourself, and not thinking that you're neglecting somebody else or disregarding somebody else, should I say, because you're taking time to look after yourself. And there's also a confronting that you have to do, and confronting might not be the right word because it sounds too aggressive, but maybe more honesty. You have to have the bravery to be honest with the feelings that you have, especially the ones surrounding grief, because those feelings might be quite taboo, and you might not be allowed to. Many people might not talk about them, or you might feel like you're not allowed to express those feelings, especially during grief. So you have to have the bravery and the honesty, and like we see these brothers have, and they go on this journey of being brave enough and honest enough with themselves to talk about these, to discuss these, to look at these feelings, these emotions, whether it's shame, blame, hurt, whatever it is, anger, resentment, the grudges, and you just got to unpack all of those, because you can't move forward, you can't make these connections, which is what this play is about. You can't make these connections, you can't have these forgiveness, you can't have forgiveness for somebody else or yourself if you don't unpack all of these things, if you're still holding onto that. And that's what this play feels like to me, just like a letting go. I know we talked about this a lot in these rehearsals, but this play is just like just having to do that and just let go in order to see yourself, in order to see somebody else.
removing and finding, for me, can't happen just with words. So something about this piece that is, such an important part of this piece is the movement and the storytelling through the bodies that we do. And I'm smiling because I'm thinking of all the joyful moments that we've been exploring. This piece is full of so much joy, and we laugh every single day that we're here. And there are things that are going to surprise people, and things where people are going to be like, "Are you serious?" You got in there? Yeah! I hope they do that. Yeah! Just like that. Yeah! Come on, everyone. 3, 2, 1. Yeah! Alright. Whoever's going to come to see this, at one point they should do that, and we'll remember this moment. But like, I just remember saying something like, it's just like a coin, isn't it? I've mentioned this. I said, like, joy and pain, or joy and suffering, it's like the coin of life. And sometimes that coin can just be on a table, just spinning, and you can feel both at the same time. And that's what it is to be human, to feel both at the same time, to do this as a human being, as, joy, suffering, and it's like, and sometimes they fight each other, and sometimes it's just, and a lot of our characters' journeys is just about the accepting the joy and the suffering, and not defining themselves through the suffering, right? Can't wait to hear your answers to this, because mine's messy as hell, and that's great.
I'll say, I'll be short because I've spoken a lot, but like, when do you ever have a director that also, one, for me, looks like you and is around about the same age, and you see yourself in them? Not that it's perfect, not that it's going to be better, but Lanre was my second male black director ever. Wow. Since in my career of drama school and whatever. Not that he's better, whatever, but you can feel the difference, that shorthand, as well as the excellence, the pursuit for excellence. That's amazing. But not only is that profound for me, not only am I walking into rehearsal rooms and seeing myself on the board for once, and not having to imagine to make that extra leap, especially if you're doing a period piece, for example. You got used to conditioning yourself. Nothing's no shade on the people in the room. It's just something that we've had to condition ourselves. Like asking us or a white person that we're going to do a play about China right now, ancient China. But we have to step in the room. We're going to dress like Chinese people. We're going to sound like them, accent-wise. We might have to do their dialect at some point. We're going to have to culturally, spiritually, sonically be Chinese, and expect a Chinese audience to not see that. Yeah. And ask the Chinese audience to excuse that. Yeah. That's what we've conditioned ourselves. It's amazing, but that is the reality. So when you're working like this and you see yourself on the board and you're in this, is amazing. And all of that aside, when does the director do circuits with you, can get up with you, can feel with you, can cry with you, can laugh with you, can move with you and sweat with you, as well as write, as well as direct? So that combination is rare. Then to be about a story about yourself, I think it's profound. And I don't even want to do it that often, because it's maybe a rare gem that maybe you want to do every like 3 or 4 times in your life, because it's maybe too hot, too close. And I take that practice to somewhere else.
I don't know if easy is the right word, but I'll definitely say, I don't know, it's different because it's with Lanre. And that sounds like, man, oh God, this could go either way. Right. What did you say today? I say it's relative, isn't it? And it's like it's all specific to the person. Like, so I can't leave out the fact that yes, Lanre wrote this. Lanre is the director, but he's also Lanre, and he's such a beautiful, lovely human being. So I have to connect all of those together. And why I say that is because he's written a mammoth of a play, which is full of so many emotions, and we go on this wonderful journey, and it's full of healing, forgiveness, all the joy, lightness. It's full of all these things, all these extremities, all these complexities, and we have to find them. And then he's also the director who will guide us on this journey, and he will help us, and he will make sure that we do the best that we can, and he'll be there to support us at every moment. Then he's also Lanre, who has so much sensitivity and vulnerability that he is there with you as a person. So it's no longer just the writer that wrote this for the actors, the director that's here for the actors, but there's also Lanre who's here for the person. He was here for Nnabiko. And I know I feel held because Lanre is in this room. And then he understands all of those positions that he plays. So when he's the director, he also knows I'm the director, but I'm also speaking to Nnabiko. I'm not just the director that's speaking to an actor, I'm Lanre that's also speaking to Nnabiko. And so if Nnabiko needs his time, I'll give him his time. Yeah. I'll help Nnabiko, I'll hold Nnabiko's hand, I'll hug him. And that's why I say is that I've also got to consider that it's Lanre, because that is rare. Like, I can honestly put my hands up and say no one else is doing that. No one else is there in the room with someone else, and it's amazing. And I can't find the right word, but I think the word is just love. To have another black man do that for me is just filling my body up with something, filling it up with love. And it's allowing me and giving me the freedom and the space to be vulnerable as well. So that's why I say it makes me comfortable, because I can be vulnerable, because I know in all these different aspects or all these positions that Lanre puts himself in, I'm safe in every single one of them. Yeah, man, I just feel safe in this room.
And it's really an honor to be a part of work that is really thought about as well. It's not just like ticking a box, you know. The reason why I'm so happy and glad to be with these people, because I feel like the story, whether people like it's the perfect play for other people, you know, you're always going to get criticism, but for me, the heart and the pursuit of really interrogating physically, sonically, these themes with so much kind of creativity and originality matched by it. Not just that is the cause is great. I believe like the way it's written and the intention is done in such a beautiful way. It's an honor to be a part of that. It's an honor to be a part of that contribution to the culture in that way. Yeah. Taken seriously, with joy, with love, with flow. But actually, I feel like with the whole team that you don't see right now, an amazing team, there's an amazing group of artists in this room trying to be creative, trying to like make things that can be acceptable mainstream. But I think when people come see this work, there's heart and grit. And this same team would do the same level of work in a little black box room in the corner of nowhere or on the biggest stages in the world. But the quality of work is the same. And sometimes people try and like, it's a bold statement because artistic choice, but sometimes people like, they write theory books of this type of creativity, spontaneity with specificity and with practice and drilling and whatever. To have that combination of that, to feel like you're part of something that hopefully will have ripple effects. It's not perfect, but a part of something that's going to be a contribution to a new way of potentially looking at theatre and working. Massive honor to be a part of.
All the vision isn't mine though. That's the thing, and it sounds weird, but I don't know. I realize that I'm. You can't say this without sounding a bit like a. Man, this flowed out of me, man. This flowed out of me from here. And I don't feel like I sat down and had this plan and then I'm going to write, okay, let's see. And different writers and creators work very differently. I work how I work and I play how I play. And it's just about being truthful and being honest with myself. And I really didn't know if I was going to finish the first draft of this. I said this today. It's crazy how it comes up again, isn't it? I mentioned this because it's the hardest thing I had the hardest journey. And everything we've just spoken about, space and trust, is what I had to allow myself to find my own journey with this, and let it be what it is, and just stop, have my process, and just let the thing that wants to come through me, and just write. There's times where I write, I've written, and then 2 hours in, I open my eyes. Wow. As in, I don't write eyes closed. Probably people got it. I don't know. I'm like, but then I feel really like, not tired, but like, it's like my body feels like it's been through something. And I just don't know I don't know where I've been. All right. the realness is I know it, right? So I don't care. Like I know it, and I know this has happened multiple times. Multiple times where synergies have happened around this piece. This piece already is a success, a sacred success, because number one, I finished the first draft. First drafts are always messy and beautiful and hurtful and annoying. This one was extra annoying. To be sat here with these artists and the incredible creative team, shout out Roche Kirkan, assistant choreographer, associate director Kirkan, on this project and the other incredible creatives, is a success, because the feelings, the trust, the vulnerability that comes from this room, this space, and just the moments that we're bringing up on their feet, there's just something here, man. And I'm just grateful to be able to have trusted myself, created that space to allow it to come through and to go, okay, there is a part of me that yes, there is autonomy. There has to be, because I'm feeling, okay, da, 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 ba, da. But also there's like a sitting back and just going, oh, rah. There's a sitting back and going, yeah! You know? So yeah, that's what I'll end it there. I'm not speaking anymore, so someone else do this.
There's only one song though, isn't it?
No, but you can't say that one.
Okay.
You can't say that one. There's no way.
Without giving spoilers.
No way.
What's that song? I'm thinking Twister and some. There's some hopeful. When that music, let me get it away, 'cause you hopeful. You come on.
Literally,
Are you
song is it?
What's it
I have
called?
no idea what the song is. You know the song?
I kinda.
Good guy's like, hopeful. I didn't know it's called that.
Yeah. But there'll be 50% of people watching this being like, oh, with these two in the corner.
It's only something. You can get the energy through. With their attitude. Be like,
Yeah. You know you don't know, but you're nodding more than you're singing. You're like, yeah.
Who's gonna understand what song that is? Anyway,
That one. Hopeful.
Yeah.
That's what I'm going with.
That was great. Good choice.
You know, I love
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
dynamic when someone expects someone else to know a song and they're like, kind of
okay. We are sat here as black men. In case you didn't realize. As in, but that is clear. Okay? That is it. I'm not here to go, we are black men. I'm here to go, who am I as a black man? Like, my hand on my chest and go, well, actually, the question is, who am I as a human? And everything you said about all the things that you put on or all the things that you're trying to take off, for me, it's understanding my journey as a black man who feels human emotions that are not subject to being black. So when we were talking about the word grief, what does it mean? And every human can identify with this, I hope. But the journey of grieving parts of yourself that you no longer are or that you want to get rid of. There's a process of grieving the person you were 5 years ago, whether because of the choices that you made, or these for me have a different lens and a different narrative as a black man, but also just as a human. It's a very embodied, real thing that many people go through. And I think for me, adding to the conversation, what I'm adding is healing. Healing. And there's things that happen in this piece that, you know, I'm adding healing, man. I don't want to go to theatre and see, I want to go and feel like, okay, yeah. and then have a moment where I have to check in with myself and go, okay. Because that's where I'm at. Mm-hmm. And that's what I'm adding into this.
It's a very tough one, what I'm about to say, because I don't mean to sound in any way like... because there's a lot of amazing artists that are doing really amazing things, and amazing things that are, feel stewardship of moving us into a space. But as someone who, I'm a student of jazz music, and for me, jazz music has been, for the longest time, the champion of our people, and that it does something that's very similar to this piece, in a way that I think the freedom of jazz is a pure expression of Black emotion in all its colors. I don't think I have ever come across a piece that does more for Black men in my life. Because the universality of the stuff that's touched on in this piece is of a magnitude that I don't think I have found anywhere else. Because I think you're right, Lanre, when you say, I think you're right about a lot of things. But,
he's wrong about a lot of things too. I'll be the first to say that.
No, but in this case, let me fly your flag. In that, like, it's almost a shame that you call something. It's not a shame, but like sometimes I feel like people use Black art as almost like a reductionist thing, right? And so like this isn't Black art. It's art, and it's not Black emotion, and it's not Black grief, and it's not Black joy, and it's not Black. There's just a bunch of people dealing with stuff, and like for me, I don't think I've come across a piece that represents that more. These are just men trying to heal,
and their Blackness comes into it for sure, but it's not led.
This is it, because in the way that anyone else's identity comes into their right, you can be a middle class white woman from Chichester who's dealing with grief, and your middle class whiteness is a part of how you deal with that grief. Like that's what this is for me, and that is what I think is what makes this special, because it goes like, oh, this is us in this space as us who belong here. And people who belong somewhere don't need to say, I am also this. I just belong here, and my Blackness is part of that. And I think that's what this piece tries to do and succeeds in, for me.
In terms of art, that I think, I'm actually going to say, I think it's very rare that art is doing a similar thing to what Lanre has done with this piece. And I'll explain why in a bit, but I would say the art that kind of mirrors that is Afrobeats or Afro dance. And why I say that is because I don't know how any other Africans in this room feel, but there was a time back in the days where it was like, you were kind of shamed, or it was embarrassing to be African. Or there was jokes made, ridicules and mocking. And then the surge of Afrobeats and Afro dance is like a thing that's popular now. It's popularized, everyone's doing it now. So, and there's like a thing where it's like, despite all that embarrassment, despite all that shame, the ridicule, it still persisted, and it still stayed, and it didn't go anywhere, it didn't hide. It stayed there in its fullness, in its joyness. Joyness, is that a word?
It is.
It's now a word. But it stayed there in its entirety of all of that, regardless of what it was met with. And that for me, I was like, oh yeah, there's something about that's in the piece as well. Just like you said, not being like, I'm a Black man on stage, but just being. And I felt like Afrobeats did that. It was just there. It just stayed there the way it was. And that's what this piece is, man. And I think why I was going to say it was rare what Lanre does is because I don't know how many pieces are out there that discusses such sensitive topics and then encompasses all the joy and all the lightness as well, but somehow manages to make it uplifting, hopeful, and full of healing, so that when you watch it or when you take part in it, you're left with that as well. You take on that. The remnants that you take from this play are the joy, the love, the healing, the connection. Because I think it's so easy to watch a play about something so upsetting or so troubling or filled with so much trauma that you then leave with all that heaviness as well. But with this one, and I know it's evident for me in the R&D that we did, even in these rehearsals, that I come out every day feeling lighter. No matter what I go through in these rehearsals, I feel lighter at the end. And it's like that will translate to the audience as well. And that's beautiful. Because it is really uplifting, not only for as a player and these characters going through it, but even me as an actor doing it. It's uplifting for me to know that I can go through these emotions and still be good. And the audience can watch it, and afterwards they'll be good as well. So I just think it's rare, man. It's rare that it's, especially with a play which the characters are predominantly, or in other plays predominantly black, or in this play everyone is black. That it's not just trauma on stage, because we don't want that no more. I don't know if we ever wanted that.
We did. Totally for real. I don't think anyone wanted that.
Yeah. But it's been a thing that's always been happening. You go every show, you're like, oh my god, and it's like, all right, I'm done, man. I don't want to see people suffer on stage. I don't. I want to see people survive. I want to see people live. And that's what this play is. It's people living, surviving, healing, connecting. And yeah, it's rare.